Everyone, welcome to another episode of Primary Market. Today, I'm really excited to have another great artist on the pod, and we're going to dive into his history and his thoughts on the art market and his thoughts on his art career. Tony Duvall. Tony, what's up? How you doing?
What's up, Topper? I'm good, man. Where's Topper come from? That sounds like some kind of like a rabbit or something.
Yo, it's a crazy name. So basically, my lineage is Italian. My father's name is Vito Luciani, and his nickname is Topper. It was from a show back in the 40s. My dad was born in the 30s.
Oh
And
wow,
so,
cool.
yes, his nickname became my real name. And so here we are.
That's
Do
awesome.
I some Thank you so much.
He loved his nickname so much that he blessed you with it.
Exactly.
That's a
Exactly.
cool evolution of the name. I'm actually not Italian, but everyone thinks I'm Italian because my name's Tony, and
Totally.
they think I'd be
Is it?
spinning pizzas. Yeah,
Yo, you've
not.
seen that guy. You've seen the spinning pizza wrestler.
Yeah, for sure.
He's trending right now.
I love the oddball wrestlers, like the guy that keeps his hand in his pockets when he wrestles. I forgot his name, but he's super cool. Yeah,
That's what
that's
you have
awesome.
to do to get the clicks today.
I know. I got to start painting with my hands in my pockets and
Yo, you
figure out.
better believe me. You need a gimmick, baby. That's one common thread.
Yeah,
So, all right. So, Tony, number one. So you're not Italian. So, is your name Tony or it's Anthony?
it's Anthony. Tony's a nickname.
Fucking A.
I actually have another nickname from the neighborhood I grew up in. It's Stash. It's not as cool as it seems. It's not like I'm a kingpin or something. I don't know. It was something about pistachio. I don't really remember fully, but
Not mustache.
no, I do have a mustache right now, pretty nicely. Getting very Western out here in
Yo,
Montana. But
fucking A.
yeah,
Or also,
I'm
like,
sure
you stash the cash with the beef patties in the freezer.
in the freezer. Yeah. I do like stashing cash for sure. So
Fucking
I guess
A.
that's true to my name. But yeah, no, I don't know. If I have a son, I'll definitely name him Stash. Stash Money
Word.
Duvall. But
Yo,
yeah.
hell yeah. So, all right, well, I'd love to just dive into a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you got the name Stash, and then let's dive into, let's talk about how you got into art and how you got painting.
So I was born in LA. My dad was in the Navy, and so we actually lived in Long Beach and then San Diego, and then we got shipped to Guantanamo Bay in Cuba
Wow.
when I was a little boy, and then back to San Diego, and then Chicago, where my mother's from on the south side. And
Guantanamo Bay and south side of Chicago is the real deal, Holyfield.
Represent, man. Yeah, no, it's funny. I love like humid tropical environments, and I think it's because I spent the early part of my life in Cuba, but on the military base. And before I mean, it was probably fucked up then, but it wasn't what they eventually turned it into after the
Right.
wars in the early 2000s. This was in the early,
The waterboarding was, a little bit less significant. Brought to you
yeah.
by Pellegrino.
That's if I was being really bad when I was a little kid, they would waterboard me. Uh,
Exactly.
there's a lot of Jamaican immigrants that work on the base, and I remember like reggae music and like chasing around chickens and iguanas and shit. And then yeah, a lot of my family still lives in San Diego, so I've spent a lot of time in Southern California. A lot of people think I'm from California, and I think it's that like
Hmm.
kind of mix of cultures. But yeah, I grew up mostly on the south side of Chicago,
Wow.
in a neighborhood called Beverly, like yeah, far south side.
Very cool. And so, when do you think you were exposed to art and, like, how did your career or how did you know that you wanted to pursue it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I didn't grow up, so my neighborhood where I grew up in it's kind of like a Irish Italian neighborhood plus African American. It was like a equal mix. And so like art wasn't really present as or at least contemporary art
Yeah,
wasn't
fine art.
there was no yeah, there was no examples of that around me. Everyone was like, like brawlers and like Irish and drinking a lot. I don't know. It
Yeah.
was pretty blue collar in a way. In another way, it's just like, yeah, this kind of like old school Chicago. You're from the East Coast, right?
Hmm.
Same thing in like, in New York and stuff. It has a very similar kind of vibe.
Yep.
And yeah, so but I always felt I was always an artist. Like looking back now, I had the sauce at an early age, or
Word.
whatever I was expressing myself in different ways. I was tagging, writing poetry, taking weird point and shoot digital photographs of like my toes and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
And
do. It's so common with, the people that I'm interviewing, like that, like just
yeah.
so frequently they're starting with that photography.
Yeah, I think it's just because it's a really quick way to make an image. I think it's like you have these compositions or these kind of stylistic motifs that you want to encapsulate and look at again and kind of like sit with for a while and figure out what's interesting about that to you or whatever. I don't know. I wasn't thinking about this back then, but yeah, so I didn't really have any examples of artists, so I feel like I'm kind of a delayed artist because I didn't start painting until I was in like my mid to late 20s. Before that, I was mostly focusing on photography. I started like a photography business in Chicago and I was like editorial shoots and headshots and all that stuff. So,
Yeah, any way to make a buck from it.
yeah, bada bing, bada boom.
Fucking A. And
Um,
so, like, were you at least drawing in your notebook as a kid? Like, were you making those S's? Were you,
yeah, yeah,
what
for
were you
sure.
doing?
Yeah, no, I kept a lot of my notebooks as a kid actually because I had so much drawing in it that I thought it, as I got older and I was going through shit, I was like, I'm keeping this stuff. Like there's something interesting and I'll probably want to like look at this later as a throughway.
Yeah.
But no, I was making a lot of like fractal, like psychedelic drawings, like mandalas or mandalas,
Stimming.
like yeah, yeah, definitely like had ADHD and couldn't sit still and just my brain was going in all these directions constantly. So yeah, I'd
Mhm.
say probably like my early like studio was three subject notebook, blue
Yeah.
lining, like doodling in the margins. And then I started hanging out with, I never got into like trick skating. I just cruised around on my skateboard as a means of transportation, but I hung out with a lot of those guys. Shout out my one friend's name
Rodney
like
Mullen.
Pisswater was his name. Him and
Yo,
I,
good old Pisswater.
I was obsessed with cartooning, trying to like draw tree bark correctly, stuff like that. And
Wow.
it wasn't until like yeah, probably later in my college years that I started taking like figure drawing classes and I was lucky enough to have some really cool mentors along the way that kind of brought me to the kind of rendering aspect of image making and getting kind of obsessed with that.
So,
So,
did you go to college for art?
no, I studied biology actually. Biology is another huge interest of mine. I'm like,
Ooh, how Da
yeah.
Vinci and
Marine biology especially, like I in my past I was really into like the reef keeping hobby. So I would like
oh,
grow coral and like frag them and like sell them at like trade shows and stuff and like
yo.
drive hours from Chicago to like Iowa to get like a rare zoanthid frag, had all these colors and,
Yeah.
and
I don't even know what a fucking frag is.
a frag, it's like a
A little
very
piece?
small piece of the coral flesh that you can take with you and grow into seed it into a separate environment and it's going to grow into the same colony as the other one. So, yeah, I tried to pursue marine biology as a career and I remember I had an interview at the Shed Aquarium to basically like get into this like prestigious internship program and eventually like go on expeditions in the Caribbean, blah blah blah. And I fucked up the interview because I made a terrible joke about euthanasia.
Oh, come on, bust it out. They didn't like it. Let's hear it. The
I
art
mean,
community will like it.
you know what euthanasia is, right?
Obvi.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, I don't know.
Sometimes you gotta euthanize a couple dolphins or something, or what? What do we
Yeah,
got?
yeah, yeah. But I made a joke about youth in the continent of Asia. So
Classic.
that
Classic.
destroyed my
Classic.
marine biology career right there.
What the hell? You could have gone and interviewed at 100 more aquariums.
Right? That should have gotten me. That should have clinched it. Yeah, that was like when I was like 22 or something, and I don't know. And then I did try stand up and stuff too in Chicago. I mean, Chicago is obviously a classic like comedy city, and yeah, Second City and the
Second
IO.
City.
I mean, the open mic scene is incredible in Chicago. It's like there's like 50 open mics a night, and you can just do the rounds and but I was like looking for this outlet for means of expression that was like growing stronger as I got into my 20s. And so my like stand up wasn't great and I usually got like zero laughs. I remember
That's tough.
I did a show at this bar called Cole's, which is a great open mic in the city, or it was back then. And I think Hannibal Buress was in the audience, and he like booed me like to my face. Really unhappy with
Wasn't
my
he
set.
the one? Wasn't he the one that blew the whistle on Bill Cosby?
Yeah,
Do you know
yeah, I
that
think so.
story? Yeah.
Yeah, originally I think he was the one that was like starting to incorporate that in his sets and being like, "Do you guys know Bill Cosby is like blah blah." Yeah.
Yeah.
But my sets were like absurdist. Like they were I was trying to create like the weirdest, string of sentences I could imagine, or like I don't know. It was like painting through like abstract painting through like my words or something like that. So yeah, I tried a lot of stuff out, and then I think on a beach in Chicago one summer, and I just had this little watercolor set, and I was fucking around in a notebook with like the lake water, and it just literally was a click. It just snapped into place for me, and
Wow.
I didn't do anything else for the next like 3 or 4 years. I feel like that was the moment Tarantino talks about, like working at a video store or whatever to like get his chops as a substitute for film school. But I just like went to the Harold Washington Library in downtown Chicago all the time and just was like ripping through contemporary art books and like learning about, all the greats and stuff. Put a portfolio together through those years. Had a lot of like weird life experiences, a lot of failed relationships because I was in the studio a lot. I had this like shitty little warehouse studio on the south side of Chicago. And then I got into grad school through that portfolio.
Wow. So where did you go to undergrad first?
I went to
Or
Indiana University, the big state school in Indiana, southern Indiana, and then I went to the University of Wisconsin in Madison for grad school. Uh,
yo.
yeah, anyone watching out there, if you're trying to do an MFA, look at the schools in the Midwest, the Big Ten schools. They're awesome. You teach while you're there, but they give you a stipend, like a small salary to live on, but it's like 3 years. That program in particular was incredible. The painting faculty there are amazing. Shout out Fred Stonehouse, Leslie
Wow.
Smith. Yeah,
Yo. Shout out to them. It's
yeah,
incredible.
yeah.
So okay, Indiana, that's the Hoosiers, right?
That's the Hoosiers. Yeah,
And then the Badgers.
and then the Badgers.
Wow. Okay, so sorry I went.
First time I ever
Okay,
reaction
just
was
so
hilarious.
I
Wow.
know. No, yeah, well, I'm really excited or interested to hear more about that MFA program. So you went in there. Now you've spent 3 years essentially after that moment at the lake, or
Yeah,
how much, and then you just decided, yo, I have to take this to the next level. I want to pursue. I want
yeah.
to contribute to art history. And what were you thinking then? And then also, I guess I'd love, I mean, not I guess, I would love to hear, who some of the artists were in that journey, at the library or in that self taught period that were, really inspiring you, ringing your bells.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I think during that period with the lake water, it was a very like spiritual experience to be honest. It was like a direct communication with something that was just like you've passed into some sort of like new phase of your life, and now this is this is what you're gonna do for the rest of your life. It was like very clear
Wow.
message in my head. Yeah, and I felt lucky to
Dude.
have that because brother, I was lost. I was periods of like losing leases on apartments and living out of tote bags out of my trunk and shit and like failed relationships, you know.
I've
I
been
but
there.
I wanted, yeah, man, I wanted to stay true and honest to myself because yeah, I was searching for that thing that I needed to do with my life and I found it. And so after I found it, I like made a pact like I'm gonna do this, forever. Yeah, I'm a
Wow.
big fan of like the ideas around like the muse and just like the general kind of intuitive aspect of art. I find that stuff super
Hmm.
fascinating, how it
Hmm.
relates to like consciousness, and we can get into that later. I'm like obsessed with like the study of consciousness and blah blah blah. But yeah, some of the artists that initially were bringing me kind of closer to, understanding what I was experiencing in myself internally, or like what was coming out of me at that time. A lot of outsider artists. I was a huge fan of this magazine called Raw Vision, primarily showcases outsider artists. And then, of course, Chicago has this great institute called the Intuit Museum, which is a museum for outsider artists. Like they have this permanent Henry Darger exhibit, super cool. A lot of people don't know about this when they come to Chicago. They usually go to the Art Institute or like the MCA, but the Outsider Art Museum is super legit. Yeah, strangely, like I found this connection to a lineage of like a lot of like African American artists from the South, like Suzanne Jackson. I think Bill Traylor was from the South. I mean, I'm a big fan of like Frank Bowling. I think he was British though, but yeah, just kind of like, Sam Gilliam, like these like material abstractionists. But there was a period in my life then, it's like I think a lot of painters especially go through this where they have to try out every single thing that has ever existed in art history, or like you're like stealing from everybody. At that period of my life as an artist, I wanted to be true to, and I still try to embody this in the studio, but like just let anything happen that feels like it has to happen. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah,
there's
of
no rules
course.
to this shit. There's no rules. You can do whatever you want. No one's gonna see this final thing if you don't want to show anyone. So just do it and see where it ends up. I made a lot of weird shit during that time for sure. I was like really into making these like self-portraits of myself, doing like shit that like literally if I said it out loud, it's not gonna make any sense. Like stepping into a room and asking someone for like paper towel holders that are like connected to the ceiling and the floor. Like I like it was a very like dreamlike state I was in.
What would you say was like the main objective in finding your voice? Was it like
Yeah.
you needing to create something that was contributing to the canon of art history? Was it, hey, I need to find something that'll pay my bills? Is it both? What was it about? I know I'm asking 100 questions, but it's like, what was it
No.
about outsider art? That excited you when dabbling with that, when you want to pursue it as a career, is a fucking major risk. But it's like, oh, I'm gonna be an outsider of an outsider. It's like, well, we might as well just go fucking be panhandler on the fucking choo choo train.
Yeah, I did some of that too. Like in Chicago, I would like do like paintings like on the L stops and stuff, like set up next to musicians and just like make crazy collages. And part of me is also really interested in the public's reaction to art making. I have some like really good friends that are performance artists, and I'm really fascinated by that medium. Not something that I do right now, but maybe later. Then you can just do whatever you want. And like right now, as you can see behind me, like a lot of the paintings I've been making recently are very collaged with paper, very paper heavy collages that I guess say are connected to contemporary artists like Mark Bradford, or any of these collage artists. By the way, I just want to say super grateful to be on this podcast because you've interviewed some incredible people. Mike Shustis is his name?
Schultes.
Schultes, yeah,
Schultes.
that I was a big fan of his work. I still am, but like a few years ago, I discovered him, and I was just like, "This shit is fucking amazing as collage goes." And I listened to that podcast; it was great. We Open, I love what that guy's doing. Super
Taylor.
Taylor, shout out
He's
Taylor.
amazing too.
I fuck with you. And Jared Bouchang is a friend of mine. Yeah,
Oh, incredible.
yeah, yeah. Jared
Well,
stayed
I'm
with me in
so grateful
Chicago.
for you to come onto the show also. It's really, it's I think it's just so important to get an understanding of artists like you, how your journey has evolved, and ultimately your thoughts on what the contemporary or fine art market is, and
Yeah,
how you want to contribute and how you want to monetize. Because for me, it's like, all right, it's contribute to the canon of art history, and fucking how do you pay your goddamn bills? And that's what I want to hear about, both of those things, and the creation of something magic, and
yeah,
cultivating and communicating the human experience. That's really what it fucking comes down to.
yeah, man. Yeah, I would love to load all my art into a cannon and just fire that motherfucker Yeah, no, no. Okay, so getting into that, I mean, I think that's super interesting because I don't know if you've experienced this on this podcast, but like a lot of artists don't like talking about the money
I know.
and
Yes, of course,
okay,
but I push. I push because I'm
well,
a business guy and I fucking
oh
want to
yeah,
know. Yeah, like I'm not an artist, but I want to be a patron of the arts. I fucking,
sure, man.
hopefully contribute in the way of this podcast and I want to help other artists like, yo, the jingle the jingle's important. It pollutes the well. It pollutes the well. By golly, it pollutes the well. But it's an important kind of. You hear Larry
Yeah,
Gagosian talk about the art market and the art world as a knife fight, and that I
Larry.
experienced that in the business world.
Yeah, no, no, it's super important. I mean, also, let's do a full disclosure here. I have a day job, man. I'm not by any means making a full-time living. I work in sales.
In Montana,
So
what the hell are you selling out there, or remote?
I'm remote. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that was a whole nother fucking thing because one thing I also learned early on as an artist is you have to have a day job, and I've had a million of them. A lot of people I know don't, and that's the
Yeah.
goal. But like I think it's also important to recognize that there's some artists that aren't picked up immediately after a Yale MFA into like a
Yeah.
gallery or at the end of the day, you have to have a little bit of finesse on the business side. Like you gotta be smooth a little bit. But like,
Art is an art and a science, baby.
yeah, but you gotta do it for yourself. Like you can't be like, I don't know, it's such a gray area. You can't be like hawking your shit, but you and like there's like a way to do it and I feel like in a lame way. But you also have to have these conversations with collectors and galleries and someone that sells my work in Chicago. Like we have like if you go through our text messages, like a lot of artists would be showing this shit to the world, like what goes on behind the scenes of talking about money and stuff. But it's super important, man, because I hope your podcast really takes off, and I think what you're doing is super cool. I think it's important to talk about the market, and I think a lot of young artists are lost in that. One thing I'll say is get as much feedback as you can from the internet. Like I've posted my work all over the place, man. Like not just from like critiques in grad school and stuff, but like I love hearing about how random people respond to my work because ultimately at the end of the day, what I'm doing in the studio is mostly for me, but it's nice to have that little kind of drop in your head about, what the market also thinks about your work. There's a great book, Hannah Wool. She was a sociologist or is a sociologist. I forgot where she got her PhD, but it's all about she infiltrated the art world and she studied artists and she studied gallerists and she studied collectors and she was trying to figure out like how the market actually works from all those
Hmm.
different perspectives. And ultimately, I mean, it's not that big of a surprise. It's a lot of the bigger artists are completely led by the collectors, by the money. And so when you get to a certain degree of notoriety as an artist, it's like they kind of
Hmm.
keep making the same shit because collectors are buying it. It's a brand, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and that's cool too, man. I'm a big fan of hustling. I'm a big fan of
Hmm.
even those like spin artists on Instagram that like spin the table and they like throw buckets of paint. Like
Yeah.
get the bag, man. You know?
Hit the fucking bag. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
Whatever you
ultimately, I think those aren't. I do want to have one of those people on the show one day, but fundamentally, I think like those don't contribute to the human experience as much as someone who's attempting to change the game a little bit, or um, do something relatively, and by change the game, I mean do something relatively new in art history, in the art world. And I feel like that's kind of the ticket to, or that's the foot in the door of, that's one foot in the door of developing a customer base, a collector base, because it's like, yo, this is why this art is unique. This is why it's going to appreciate. This is why it's going to be appreciated by future generations and why it should be collected and held on to and all that shit.
Yeah, I mean that's one aspect of what makes something valuable, right? If you're breaking ground. I don't know. What do you think the people that collect that like spin art stuff, what do you think they
Yeah, I
think
think
about when they bring it into their
that
studio?
that customer base is, looks at art as pure decoration, and they're not
Emotion,
listening
yeah,
to this podcast because this
yeah,
podcast is dissecting what is fine art, what does make something more valuable, what does
yeah,
allow for an artist's career to evolve and get that
yeah.
fucking motherfucking bag. How do you become what's that?
What? I said get that
I didn't do it.
mortadella.
Yeah, you know what it is. The cheddar, the cheese, the guacamole, and the fucking French horn, baby.
Yeah.
And
Oh, one other aspect of my, I guess, coming up too is I was also pursuing music, really heavily influenced by the rap world in Chicago, and I was like shooting music videos,
wow.
all these like gangsters and stuff in Chicago, and also working out of this music studio. Shout out on God. I was like laying down tracks, producing stuff like that. But like the rapper mindset really like got into my blood about like I would see these famous rappers just like finesse up and coming rappers all the time. Like they'd come in for like to do like a hook on a song or like a one verse that would they would come in for like 10 minutes and charge them like 15 G's and
Word.
like and be like super fucked up, like drunk off their ass, like, off
Huh?
whatever and like and I'm just like, yeah, they're getting that cheese, man. They're getting the
Word.
cheese. And but it's like, yeah, you have to have that mindset in a way, and that's a whole different world. That's a whole different kind of way to maneuver. Yeah, but I think those like those other artists that are just making decorative art, I think they're working in that way too. I think they're trying to get a bag. They figure out something that works and they replicate it and they find the market, they have the customer base. But it is different from artists or like what you would call like a painter's painter, like
Yeah.
Martin Kip, these people that have changed the way that people think about reality by looking at their art, which
Yes.
is extremely important to me. And it's almost like an oath I think you take as an artist when you get into this shit. Like if you are lucky enough to have that kind of desire or curiosity, I think it's a disservice to yourself and to like the creative force or like God or the muse to shill it out otherwise. So I think you have to keep evolving as an artist. It's the same thing in nature, man. If you look at a puddle of water that doesn't have any flow through it, there's like mosquitoes and like turds in it. It looks
Hmm.
nasty, it's foul. And I think the same thing with an artist. If you stagnate, your shit gets foul. You got to keep
Wow.
pushing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it also ties into that whole concept of 10,000 hours. Like, yo, you need for an artist, like 10,000 hours is fucking not even like you haven't even started with 10,000 hours, you know? It's like fucking
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you need so much cuz God is in those details like nobody's beeswax.
I think the whole point of that, at least from a visual artist perspective, is developing your own language. Like you have to be able to like start remixing off your own shit. Cause yeah, when I was starting out, I was like, I remember I found like Joe Bradley, for instance, and I was like, holy
Nasty.
shit, man, this guy just drags his shit around on the floor with like oil sticks, farts and steps on it or whatever. And I mean, shout out Joe Bradley, he's an amazing artist. Love
He's
his
so
work.
nasty.
That guy evolves too, man. His drawings, particularly lately, have been incredible. He developed his own language and then he can pull from that. And then, like, all these people budded off from, I guess, what was kind of dubbed as like zombie formalism, but it became this like movement. But I was inspired by him because like also I think art for me and for a lot of people that buy it and collect it and live with it and the people like the feedback I've gotten from collectors, they feel like play in it and they feel lightness and they feel this kind of like childlike energy, whatever, that expressionism
Yeah.
that
And
they're missing
skill
in
though.
art. It is skill. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and that shit's hard to do, man. Like kids do it super easily, but like I draw with my nieces and nephews all the time and like I can't they're like automatic with it. Like they just
Yeah.
they don't stop making incredible shit. It's like if they put a marker to a paper, it's like brilliant. And but the thing is they're not aware of what they're doing. So I think as you become an adult, it's like the mix of keeping that childlike state mixed with your adult, like left brain, right brain intellect, and that's how you start, making cool work that
That's
could
the
take shape.
muse in general. That is
Yeah.
all. That's the formula for, connecting with the muse.
Yeah, what
It's
was
like,
it? I wrote down this quote actually. I have this like quote book. Baldur Asari, you have oh fuck, wait, no, that wasn't it. Never mind. A quote I wrote down though is painting should really just be about whatever interests you in that day. That's another thing is like if you're making work like I'm making, like yeah, you just add a little bit every day, man, and cover it up, add it, cover it up, add it, cover it up, and eventually it's going to resolve and you'll have a cool painting. It's not that hard. There's all these lessons in art that people think are super difficult to achieve, but it's all these like really simple realizations. It's a lot of what comes out of the 10,000 hours is just like these little realizations about how easy it is to make something visually interesting. I don't know, like one of my favorite artists is like Richard Tuttle, and that guy makes really simple, interesting shit that like I can't figure out. It's so weird and bizarre, but also is so like in sync with life, and there's something so human about it, and it's a sweet spot. And yeah, but what I realized when I was younger, as a younger artist, is ethically I was weirded out by selling my work to like rich people and like whatever. I thought in my mind there was going to be like oil tycoons that were like, let me get your art and ship it to fucking wherever, like Texas. Um,
word.
and I was like, I would never sell my art to those motherfuckers. But now I'm like, no, man,
Burn, baby, burn.
yeah, everyone deserves to live with beauty though. Like they deserve to have that shit present in their life. And if they choose me to be the way that they experience that, I feel very grateful that anyone who has my work and lives with it, I'm extremely grateful to you. So
Okay,
that's why
so how did you tell us the story of how you went from how much time you were in Wisconsin? The MFA program is what, 2 years?
it was a 3-year program.
Okay, so wow. So you're in Madison for 3 years,
Yeah.
and then tell us about Madison, and then tell us about, how the F bomb you wound up in rural Montana.
Yeah, Madison, I was applying to that school for multiple years. I remember the
What was
first
it
time
about it that really rang your bells,
it
appealed
was
to you?
free, dude. These MFA programs are completely free. They're fully funded.
Whoa, whoa,
Yeah,
whoa.
they're free and they give you a salary. You just have to teach. And I wanted to teach art at the time, which I don't anymore. I'm a terrible teacher. I don't actually like teach art. I just go off on tangents about whatever's happening in the news, like woolly mammoths, like whatever the fuck is going on. Yeah, so put it to you like this. It's 3 years of basically free studio time, amazing studios at UW, skylights, like like 20-foot ceilings, super nice. Not all universities have this, but and you get like a new visiting artist every week who you can actually request, like well-known artists. I brought in some artists that were heroes of mine. Molly Zuckerman Harding, I had her come through Madison and do studio visits and do a lecture. So it's like, yeah, every week there's a new artist that comes in. Oftentimes they
Dude.
show work. It's like crit pits like every couple of weeks. You're also working with the faculty, these like, really well-known Midwestern artists, Fred Stonehouse, amazing teacher, just comes in and just like, puts you on to like what they're seeing as an experienced artist, not only like studio wise, but also like market wise. And like a lot of like feedback I got in my work was like it's not archival. They're like, you're working with construction paper. This shit's gonna fade. It's for little kids. It's gonna crumple. It's gonna disintegrate. But I'm like, I don't care, man. Like live with it for however, like it's like
Wow.
nature. It's gonna, like mushrooms eat a log and deteriorate it and dissolve it. Like
Yeah,
that's
but
life.
come on, we're playing the
Humans,
money game, baby. You better dip
man,
that shit in shellac. Boom, shellac, clack, boom.
it makes me feel better knowing that like But this has never happened, by the way. For anyone who's like looking at collecting my work, as far as I know, my shit is golden. It is not.
Now we're talking.
It might fade a little bit, but that's intentional. And anything I do working
Yeah.
with different materials is intentional. So actually, one of a painting, I don't really keep a lot of my work, but one of my favorite paintings I have, I made out of paper, and it's like almost like white from sitting in the sun and like bleaching out over the years. It looks fucking cool to me. And I just, I'm really into the idea of time and like the process of time as it connects to art. And who's the artist? Dieter Roth, the guy that would make like food sculptures, and they still keep them in these museums. And every time they bring them out, they like rot further and stink up the whole gallery, and everyone gets pissed. It's like, I think that shit's cool. Uh,
Hmm. Yeah, it's genius.
but it's yeah, my intention isn't to make work that's gonna fall apart, but I also think that like a lot of artists are, it's a different game. Like I have conversations like this with my friends all the time that are like, working with pristine mediums and are super anal about how their work is created, but that's just not the type of artist I am. And I gravitate towards artists that are more willing to work with time as being part of the experience. Yeah. Did
Hmm.
I get off topic there?
No, just yeah. How did you wind up? Okay, so then yes and no, but so how did we
Oh,
then
Montana,
wind
yeah.
up?
Yeah, so I graduated MFA, and like the work I was making in grad school was very different than what I'm doing now in a way. I was incorporating a lot of natural objects, mostly like tree limbs and sticks. I was fascinated by looking at like a skin of tree bark and like seeing everything that had happened to it in its history of being a living object, and like the scars from like insects and like damage from storms, and like I was starting to have this realization that what was happening in my studio was very similar because I was
Wow.
collaging, taking studio debris and detritus off the floor, throwing it on the canvas. Those processes were like, repair and disrepair, and like that's how life forms. It's like something is alive and then it dies and then it's eaten and recycled and alive, and it just keeps going through that cycle. So I was looking at my work as these like mini ecosystems of that same idea. And let's just say that work wasn't very successful. It was cool.
What
It
kind of
brought me
tree
to a new
bark, by the
place.
way? Just so I could visualize, like what bark were you wilding out on?
Well, the other thing about branches and stuff too was like I was noticing that like a big limb would fall on someone's yard, and then they would leave it there. Like they would mow their lawn around it. Like it became almost like this like
Yes.
sacred object or something. And there was like
Yes.
reverence there, and like I don't know, it was like, and I would like bring this up in crits and like studio visits, and like no one knew what the fuck I was talking about. But I don't think I still fully figured out what I was doing at that moment. But there was something about time and like repair. Um, and I my final show was like all these paintings with like tree branches like sticking out of them, like wired into them, and like paper falling off. And I thought the work was cool, but all of it went straight into the trash afterwards. Most of it went in the trash. There was just like no way to store it. But it was a great experience to make it. And then after that, every artist that leaves grad school, you have to figure out what the hell you're doing. I was not a great professor. My students liked me. I had a great relationship with my students, but in terms of teaching art, I think I'm too scattered in a way. I don't know. There's this great lecture by another painter I really love, Richard Aldrich. I think that's how you pronounce his name. It's like
Mhm.
the most scattered. He's this really cool, like provisional oil painter. But I would always show my students this lecture of his. You can find it on YouTube, but it's like it's so hard to follow, but it's so amazing at the same time. It's such like an interesting, I guess, lesson in hearing an artist try to describe their own abstraction. But then yeah, so after school I needed a day job. I wanted something super easy. I'm really good at breaking into like new ways of like making money, I guess. And
Hell yeah.
I wanted stability, I wanted health insurance, so like I got a job as like an academic advisor at this psychology school in Chicago, which was crazy because I had no experience doing that. And so I did that for a year, and you know, I was making work in the studio a lot. It gave me a lot of flexibility. I was like partially remote, partially in my office at the school. But when I was home, I would just be like painting while talking to students on the phone. And that's
Oh,
kind of still what I do to this day. I mean, one of the reasons why I got into sales and remote sales is because, I have health insurance, I make a good salary, I can draw while I'm on sales calls all day, you know?
yeah.
If not just
Uh-huh.
doodle, but like sometimes those like no look doodles can
10,000
turn.
hours, baby.
Yeah, it
Sorry to
can turn
interrupt.
into some of the best. No, no, they can turn into some of the best paintings where your
Mhm.
mind is kind of vacant. That's a great place to be drawing from. And yeah, so I met my girlfriend there in Chicago, and then she is a psychotherapist and had to do a postdoc out here in Montana. And so I
Whoa.
just tagged along, yeah, and here I am.
Whoa. Oh,
Yeah.
when you guys fight, do you say, analyze this? I don't know.
Analyze. Who's that guy? The bald guy? Joey Christie.
Yeah.
Christy Lupacchini. No, who's the Billy Crystal? What am I talking
Billy
about?
Crystal. Yeah, Billy
Yeah.
Crystal.
No, we never
Well,
fight, man. Like super in love with each other.
oh.
I'm
Oh,
joking.
Mark Central.
When we fight though, it
Amazing.
is like very like yeah, it's very self-reflective and like I get what you're saying. Like I hear a lot. I
Fuck
understand.
that.
It's not your style. We could never be together, Topper, man. It's not gonna work.
Oh, sad. I'm so sad. Oh, hell to the no. So, okay, we've got about 10 minutes left. So I'd love to
Yeah.
hear like what your thoughts are about the art, like the fine art market in general, galleries, gallery representation, and how like to play that game, or your experience with playing that game and your thoughts on that game.
Yeah, it's funny you say it that way because I have had curators or gallerists like say that exact phrase like you got to play the game. You got to
You
play the
gotta
game.
roll the dice, play the game.
Got to roll the dice. Where would
Just
you
like,
like?
don't forget with you and your girlfriend, it's a fucking game. Don't forget it. You guys can analyze this and analyze that, but you gotta
All
play the game.
all day, baby. I'm playing games all day.
Fucking gaslight, breadcrumb. Do
Two
what you
Face.
gotta do.
Um my thoughts, okay, so that's a pretty broad question. My thoughts on
Yeah.
galleries, like in what sense? Like
Like your thoughts
why are
on, the importance of, or like strategies, your thoughts on like where you want to take it, just your thoughts in general, like the New York and LA game of like there's so many mind games that are tied to developing yourself as an artist. Like there's this an art dealer that I knew
yeah.
who worked at an incredible gallery in the Big Apple, and
Mm,
when I would ask questions like how we're talking about it right now, the dude
yeah.
would shut down like fucking you do not talk about Fight Club. And that was
He got
kind of the
flaccid.
genesis. What's that?
He got flaccid.
He got so flaccid. And and so,
Yeah.
that was the genesis of this podcast, really one genesis of it, because it was like, geez, I'm hitting on something here. What can't be talked about? What can't
Yeah.
be analyzed? What light can't be shed? Like, why does it need to be so hidden and protected? Like, is it that much smoke and mirrors? And if so, like, let's fucking bring it out into the open. Lux e veritas, as they say at Yale at fucking MFA.
Yeah, I think it's because I don't know, man, like maybe at the core people are like tribal and hoard resources. Like that's in everyone's DNA and brain to like behave that way. Cause like same thing, man. No one wants to talk about how much money they have in their bank account or like, how
Mm-hmm.
much money they make from their salary at their job. Like everyone's
Mm-hmm.
It's like weird, it's taboo to talk about that.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah. I can tell you that this cracker needs a little more cheese all the time.
All the time is never enough. Daddy's gotta get a new pinstripe suit.
Daddy needs
Uh,
more art.
yeah. Well, you're a collector then, right?
Yeah.
You're a collector. Okay.
Working on that.
So you collect knowing that you're gonna probably have to go through a gallery and
Hmm.
the gallery system itself, I don't know, man. Everyone has a different opinion about this, but they take 50% of the cut
Hmm.
usually, which is pretty normal, which is
Yeah.
a lot. And so oftentimes I think that's why work is priced higher, but like, yeah, what makes someone successful financially as an artist or like it's 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 a mutual pursuit with the gallerist and but it's the connection to wealthy people, man. That's really like that's the other weird thing that no one wants to talk about because I have a friend who's a full-time artist and he's a mentor and he's successful and but like he told me he was like, "Man, sell your work for whatever someone's going to pay for it." And he was like, maybe this is too much game, but he was like, I would just like judge someone how wealthy I thought they were and like change my prices that way. And
Dude, I
I
have a
actually
homie that's a veterinarian. I have a homie that's a veterinarian who, you know, fucking if they someone brings their horse in and they got a fucking Range Rover, oh, the fucking bill just went up. If you're rocking the fucking iced out Rolly and you bring fucking
yeah,
your little dog that you're crying that is gonna fucking that you don't want this thing to die, by golly, the price just went up. That's
yeah,
the game.
yeah, we're
It's
going opposite
illegal, but it's the game.
big time. Um yeah, man, you got to just feel it like I so actually I'm working right now mostly I'm doing a gallery show in October in Chicago, but I mostly sell like to people through like Instagram or okay, one other thing that I feel like a lot of artists can do, use like yeah, I mean this isn't new, but like use social media, make a fucking Facebook marketplace ad with your work and like you'd be surprised how many people see that shit. It's free advertising and they want to pull up to your studio and buy three paintings and ship them to Miami or so, something like
Word.
that. Like that happens. Try different avenues. It doesn't always just have to be through the gallery. I've worked with a lot of interior designers. I've done commissions, for bigger spaces. I worked with like Sweet Greens, the salad
Yeah.
company. Like, so I think a lot of artists like
Shout out
view that
Sweet Green.
Sweet Greens
Shout
is
out Sweet
amazing.
Green. They're selling French fries now, motherfucker. That fucking
Mm,
lettuce don't sell. You gotta sell the goislop, the French fries.
the Goy slot. That's funny, man. Yeah. So yeah, try everything, man. Don't just go through the gallery. Do commissions. I love doing commissions. People hit me up. They want like a 50-foot painting. I'm gonna do it. You know.
Bust out the easel.
But think about it like this. I've worked so many shitty jobs, man, that like at the end of the day, someone's gonna pay you whatever 4 grand for like a commission paint. It's like
Dude,
you can make that in a
absolutely.
weekend. And but I feel like this is a certain avenue for an artist that I'm existing in. Like maybe I will eventually only do gallery shows and sell through that
Mhm.
mode, but I don't
It's
know. Has
part of the
anyone
journey.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like I love doing I mean the benefit of doing a gallery show is you get feedback on your work, you get to bring in the larger art community. I'm really excited. I'm moving back to Chicago this week actually, and
Cause
I
when you're back in Chicago, you feel it. All right,
what
I
is
had
that?
to.
Death Row.
No, it's like a fucking TikTok song.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna feel it so hard, dude. It's gonna be so.
Dude, I
No,
have a
but
crazy story that happened to me at the Taste of Chicago, but many moons ago. But that's for another time.
oh yeah, scandalous stuff.
Scandalous.
Straight up
Scandal.
hitting the headlines. Yeah, the Taste of Chicago is ratchet, by the way. For anyone who's wondering, is the Taste of Chicago to Chicagoans is like I I used to go when I was a kid, but I steer clear of that shit, man. No thanks. Fuck that.
Something ratchet happened to me there.
I believe it. Yeah, that's ratchet territory for that weekend. Also, just the traffic sucks, but yeah, I think the people that get put on for galleries or whatever, they kind of play I don't know what you call it, the traditional way of coming up as an artist. They do group shows and then, what's it called? Double shows of just like you and another artist, and then a solo show. And, the gallery backlogs your work. So collectors come in after hours, look at the stuff in the back,
Yeah, it's
that kind of
dope.
thing. And it's cool. Yeah. I mean, gallerists, I love gallerists, man. They're doing a great thing in the art market for us artists, and they do a lot of the heavy lifting with the collectors. Yeah, I mean, anytime I make money from selling art, it's insane, and I'm gonna feel that way for the rest of my life. I may be releasing a rap album in the near future with some lyrics about about this kind of thing, but we'll
Hell
see if
yeah.
that comes to fruition. Yeah,
I'll
yeah, I'm
push it
still
on
making
the
that. Yeah,
push it on the pond.
yeah, man. But I don't. I like this question, and I knew that this is primarily what this podcast is about. But like, is there any more specific thing you'd want to ask me about that?
No, that's pretty much it. And ultimately, you know, we're out of time, but I just want to thank you for coming on the show and ask you if there's anything that you want to share about anything art related in the last few minutes.
Yeah, I don't know. Like one thing, I have a lot of things I want to say, but like,
Fuck yeah.
hmm, yeah, as an artist, what I if I could give myself continuous advice, it's like make the thing that you feel like is never going to be seen. Like make it for
Wow.
yourself. Um,
Wow.
don't worry about the market, man. If you're genuine to yourself, you're gonna make the coolest shit in the world, and but also think about the market and try to try to make money.
Yeah.
Try to hustle, man. Like
Awesome. Yeah.
develop like a hustler mindset, work 24/7. If you can have your studio where you live so that you can constantly access that, I think a live work studio is very important. That's a luxury for a lot of people, but I'm a big fan of that. Have every door open. Don't close doors because you think a gallery is trying to play you. Play them. Play the
Yeah.
game, but also play your own game. And if you can maintain that bubble around yourself that you're continuing to make your work authentically, no one can touch you. You're unstoppable. And
Amazing.
yeah, man, just like I don't know, keep it jiggy,
You
keep
got
it
to keep it
super,
jiggy.
keep it super wavy in the studio. Have fun, man. You should be like I'm a big like I said earlier, I'm a big fan of play. Like you should be laughing and like having fun constantly and like
Mm.
take yourself seriously. And there's definitely like big periods of depression that happen, but like enjoy the shit. You won the lottery. You're an artist. Like you got picked for this
Mhm.
shit. So just stay true to it. Follow the muse. Definitely keep making like the weirdest shit that you think is going to be offensive or I don't know. I don't know. My work's not offensive, so but yeah, shout out you Topper. I appreciate you letting me come on the show. I feel like I got to be amongst some incredible artists that have also been on the show. Yeah, dude, and thanks for giving us a voice. Thanks for allowing us to like air out some of this stuff that is taboo to talk about in the art world. I don't know if I really did that, but I try to be very open about the way that this stuff works. I wish I had that kind of advice as a younger artist. So
Yeah,
blessings, man.
dude. Thank you. And I'm so looking forward to staying in touch. And thanks again for coming on the show. And one more thing, and then the next time, love to have you on the show again. And the next time, I definitely want to talk about consciousness and the connection to painting and
Yeah,
how the two are connected or whatever.
I could talk about that forever, man. Shout out the Monroe Institute. Shout out Tom Campbell. That guy changed my
Yo,
life.
what's up with the gateway tapes? All
Oh,
right,
you
I'm
know about it.
fucking.
My bad.
Give
Shout
me.
out
All right,
Alien
hold
Destroy.
on 1 second. We need to talk about that. I just got to do one thing. I
I
got to
thought you
put
were gonna
someone
be
on.
fully. I thought you were gonna be fully naked from the bottom down when.
I.
My man knows about the gateway tapes. That's crazy.
Okay, I got 5 more minutes. Let's
All right.
quickly talk about Gateway and Monroe Institute and how that connects to your art. Because also, I need to tell you, I'm trying to use this podcast to manifest a a art residency in
Okay.
Vermont. I went to go look at the land, at some pieces of land yesterday.
You're based out of the East Coast, right?
I'm based out of LA, but I want to build the residency in Vermont,
Okay. What
um,
part of Vermont?
in southern Vermont. I
Okay.
looked at land in southern Vermont, kind of like Dover area, near Mount Snow, near Stratton.
That's sexy as hell. I saw you had
That's
the
where.
Macedonia Institute people on to do
Yes,
that residency.
those
Looking
guys
sweet.
are my. Those they were really my inspiration for wanting to put together my residency.
Dude,
Um,
I would love to do that residency. I'm just putting that out into the universe. Like,
dude, you're
there's
in. You're in. You can do the first residency if you want, as
okay.
soon as it's built.
Yo, invite Jared, Jared Bouchang, man. Get his
I
ass up to.
will.
All right, cool. That's sick.
Um, so
But yeah,
and I've been using the gateway tapes to manifest that. So
the gateway
let's
tapes.
hear.
What the gateway tapes is that the no the gateway
That's the
process.
yeah,
Yeah, the gateway
that's the Monroe
process.
Institute.
Right. The gateway process is the document that the CIA released about basically their own studying into this stuff,
Yeah.
uh, about how consciousness is kind of the primary thing that's happening here, and that what we perceive as physical reality is really just a simulation of consciousness being the not primary. What's the word I'm looking for? Like the ground, the root thing that
Yes.
experience is coming from. And it's like yeah, it's the argument about physicalists saying like we live in a physical universe versus a non-physical universe
Hmm.
is basically but yeah, I didn't really talk about this at all, but when I was a kid I got super into Bob Monroe when I was like 15.
Whoa.
That's also like a big part of like my life. You asked me about maybe my first art making experience, and I think it all comes back to that stuff. I remember I'm also a musician, and I remember getting a loop machine for the first time, and just
Oh,
playing these, like, drone riffs on my guitar over and over again, and it just like unlock. I would like spend hours in my parents' basement, just like wow, 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 like you know what I mean?
that's
Looping.
stimming also, dude.
No,
That's some
exactly.
fucking some
But
stimming.
I was kind of like accessing these like theta waves or whatever the fuck isn't like the
Wow.
yeah, yeah. In my 20s, I got super into Kundalini yoga and like all the
You
breathing
dated a
meditation.
Kundalini chick, didn't you? You ever date a? How did you? I dated
No,
a
man,
Kundalini
because
fucking
no,
white
no,
chick
no.
wearing.
No, don't get it twisted. I saw the cult for what it was. That shit freaked me out, but I also got a lot out of the holotropic breathing and like the trippiness
Yeah,
out of it. Like it
me
was it
too.
was at the time like it helped me break through into these other kind of like spiritual places. But yeah, no, when I was 15, I was like actively astral projecting. Like I was doing like I had like a whole journal of it, but yeah, I like figured out how to do it. And I mean, who knows what that is, if it's lucid dreaming or whatever, but I was having these experiences where I was occupying some other realm in a lucid state and like
Wow.
being able to travel through it. But then yeah, Tom Campbell is I guess a protege of Bob Monroe. He wrote this book called My Big Theory of Everything. It's like 3 volumes. It's like 1,200 pages. I read that shit like cover to cover, and then I've
Wow.
watched hundreds of his lectures, and he has this really monotone, boring voice. He's like this older guy, kind of looks like Santa Claus from the South, but his teachings, man, like profoundly changed my life. Yeah, and it's very simple. So why did you get into the Gateway Tapes?
Just always looking for answers, and like I've
Yeah,
been on a
like
spiritual journey, a religious journey, a fucking the hunt
yeah,
for Red October, baby. I'm fucking always looking.
yeah.
I'm
No, there's
cruising for pussy.
oh my God, dude. I had I had a similar thing where I had all these questions my entire life, and then like, when I was a kid, God wasn't really, from a Christian sense, it wasn't really fulfilling any of these things I was seeking. And so I kept looking and looking and got into like the occult and like out of body and like witchcraft and like all this shit, man. And but
Kabbalah.
yeah, where I'm at now is like I truly fully believe in reincarnation. I think we come back here or wherever we are now, into this radio frequency. That's how I like to think about it. It's like when you die, you just change the radio dial to like the next station and you flip
Yeah.
over, you tune your consciousness in somewhere else. And it's a paradigm shift, or it's like ontological shock when like I went through a really like disassociative period of my life where I was like fully realizing this shit and like embodying it and like kind of like it's weird when you walk around the world and you realize that you might be seeing reality one way and a lot of people aren't, is the best way I can put it. I also had a lot of concussions when I was younger and in my
What
20s. I feel like that influenced it too, but
the hell were you doing?
I mean, when I was a kid, I boxed a lot. I got knocked out a lot, like
Hell yeah.
fights, and then like I played contact sports, and I was in this really crazy bicycle accident where I wasn't wearing a helmet and like smashed my head open,
Damn.
stuff like that. But yeah, at the root of it all, I really think that all that stuff is just teaching us the simulation here. It's kind of like a school. It's like a kindergarten, is what a lot of people have said is the kind of level that we're at as a collective consciousness here on Earth. I don't really know how to relate this to art. That's like kind of a separate conversation, but basically, yeah, we're here to grow up. We're here to learn whatever lessons we didn't learn in the last life or the last
Wow.
experience.
Yep.
And I think we all feel that you can connect to that why you're here, if you take time to be still. I was really lucky to work at a float tank place in Chicago for
Oh
a while.
shit.
So I got to go into these sensory deprivation tanks all the time, like multiple times a week. And I had some wild experiences in there, but like also connecting to that shit that I'm talking about. It's quieting your mind. Man, people are scared of that though. Like they would fucking run out of these tanks and say there was like demonic energy in the room, or because people can't sit with themselves quietly. It's scary for a lot of people, but I've always been super drawn to that. And yeah, I would love to go to the Monroe Institute someday, man. That would be so cool.
Dude, I'm in. All right,
Let's
well
do it.
that's all the time I got. Tony, that was so lit. So excited to be connected with you.
You too, man. Very nice to meet you. You can find me Tony Duvall. I think my Instagram handle is Thony Duvall, Thony. And yeah, I'll be in Chicago soon. Hope to see all you motherfuckers in Chicago, man. All right, Topper,
All
I
right.
will
Arrivederci.
talk with you, man, and yeah, pleasure coming on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, bye bye.
In the dark, primary market.